with Kambosos winning the fight over the weekend, is your number one priority if Haney can beat Diaz like he's expected to, is to make that fight, even if it's got to happen in Australia, to take Haney and get him that opportunity?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, I feel nervous talking about it because of what happened last Saturday, but I actually like the idea of Australia. But I just think it's such a big statement for Devin to go over there. Imagine if he was to win, go over and win all the belts. And George Kambosos, who's, I don't represent him, but he's like a hero of mine at the moment, because what he did last weekend was incredible. And he deserves that as well. If I was his promoter, I would be saying, you're fighting in Australia. And our plan, we've got massive plans for Australia in 2022 that actually didn't involve George Kambosos. But if we can be part of a historic fight like that, it would be massive for us. And we just need to see him come through Jojo Diaz. It's a tremendous fight, but I really believe he's going to shine on Saturday night. I think he's going to stop Jojo Diaz, and I think it'll be a major statement.
Yeah, Is there a launch date for Dazn Australia?
No, our plan was probably around sort of June time next year. We're slowly building our stable. I mean, Brock Jarvis was a big signing for us. Dempsey McLean, 20-0 heavyweight. Ebony Bridges, of course. Sky Nicholson's turning pro soon. Hopefully we get her. And of course, you've got Liam Paro, you've got Tim Zhu, guys that aren't with us. But it's really, Australian boxing is flying high. And it's just moments like last Saturday that can just change a sport in that country. And Kambosos is king right now, and he deserves all the praise he gets.
Eddie, you saw Ryan Garcia want to throw his hat in there. Pay-per-view dollars are always there with Davis in the division. Why do you think, how confident are you can lure George to Haney instead of those other options?
Well, I think it's all about money, isn't it? We have to get the right package together. But I do think it doesn't matter how you want to dress it up, right? To be undisputed, every governing body needs to call you the undisputed champion. And as a franchise belt holder, the other governing bodies will not accept you as a unified or an undisputed champion. So I understand the WBC will say he's undisputed, but the other governing bodies don't accept that he's undisputed. So therefore, in my book, he's not. Now, maybe he should be, and Teofimo should have been. But the way the belt's fragmented, it means that the only way to find the true undisputed champion is if he fights Devin Haney. And also, wasn't it also, I mean, this is a question for Maurizio when he comes tomorrow, you can't win a franchise championship. Isn't that right?
Originally it's supposed to be non-transferable.
Yeah.
Was that right?
They changed the rules as they go.
Right, okay.
Initially it was non-transferable. Now you can request to win it if you're fighting the franchise champion.
Okay.
But I mean, I feel like Mauricio himself doesn't, know. I mean, you go on the WBC website and you look up the ratings. They have a picture of Devin Haney saying lightweight champion, and then under it'll say like WBC franchise status, and then it'll say George Kambosos.
The truth is Devin Haney is WBC world champion. Like it, don't like it, whatever. And hopefully this fight will start allowing him to get the respect. Don't forget, he chased Lomachenko for the mandatory position. He didn't want to be given the belt as interim champion. But these are the kind of fights that will give him the respect to say, okay, he's going out, he's fighting the best guys in the division. And this is a big win for him. But I think you guys, look, I love Maurizio, right? He does a lot of good stuff for the sport. But I think this is the time to actually say to Maurizio, stop saying it's undisputed. We've got a chance here to actually make the undisputed. Devin against George Kambosos. Yeah. Let's not go into that fight saying, oh, well, actually it's not undisputed, because, well, it is undisputed. He's the undisputed. He's not. It's not. That final belt makes no arguments about the undisputed championship. But it's all irrelevant if Devin doesn't win on Saturday.
Has Mauricio, you think, bent himself around too much with that? Because the WBC is the most prestigious title there is, and it feels like at times he does these things to accommodate fighters. He doesn't want to piss them off. Do you feel like he has?
Yeah, I think it's he
has more leverage than he realizes.
Yeah, I think as a governing body, it's really a difficult job, because you've got fighters, promoters, managers asking for this, put this guy in the rankings, give this guy a shot, make this an eliminator, and it's very hard to keep everybody happy. And it's a tough job running a governing body, But me and Maurizio, we get on really well, but sometimes we'll have a little argument because I'm honest. And I have to say things that I believe in, and I don't believe in the franchise championship. I believe in giving fighters the opportunity to chase greatness. And what the franchise belt does is it doesn't allow you to chase greatness, because you can't get there. You can't build your way up a rankings, have a final eliminator, and finally get your chance to beat an all-time great. the all-time greats are put on the shelf and you can't touch them. That's not right for the development of the sport and giving fighters opportunities. Devin Haney chased Lomachenko. I said to him, what about the IBF? What about, he said, no, I want Lomachenko. So he built his way up, boxed the final eliminator, and then top-ranked petition to make Lomachenko a franchise champion so he wouldn't have to fight Devin Haney. So that for me that's not what the sport is about.
So we got the WBC, with the franchise issues, and then we have the WBA eliminating titles, which we've all been asking for a long time. They said this Sunday, the Gervonta Davis, Isaac Cruz, the winner of that will be ordered to fight George Kambosos for the WBA next. Thoughts on that, and that possibly delaying or causing issues in making, Kambosos and
there'll
Haney.
definitely be issues and there'll definitely be delays. It's just what happens. I think that Gervonta's situation, I think Gervonta's brilliant, by the way. I think he's a brilliant fighter. I think he's so exciting. But it's like he's never won a real world title.
At 130.
Yeah, 130 against Pedraza. Sorry, take that back. And I was there that night. That was a good performance. But you can't call him they call him a 3-division world champion. He's not. He's a brilliant fighter.
The Leo Santa Cruz belt was real too.
Because
that was the super tight at 130.
At 130, but that one also included the 135, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean it included his 130, but the Leo Santa Cruz belt is real.
Well, at 130.
At 130, but
he's two-time champion at 130.
Yeah, but he's already been a 130 champion. Is what I'm saying. They call him a free-weight world champion, which I don't say, and I'm not hating on Gervonta. I think he's brilliant, right? But again, it's the same problem with Devin. Is that's not Gervonta's fault. But it becomes too easy to do that. And with Devin should be, in my opinion, a world champion. But he doesn't get the respect because of the way it played out. It's not his fault. He wanted to fight Lomachenko. But now you're going through fighters like Linares and Jojo Diaz, where after Saturday, I believe you guys, and if you don't already, say, yeah, okay, respect, you're a legitimate world champion. But he wanted to win that.
Absolutely.
He didn't want to just... And again, I think what the WBA doing now is brilliant. Let's get rid of those regular belts and those interim titles. There's nothing wrong with having one champion. But I go back to it's very difficult for these governing bodies because I harass them. Aram harasses them. Heyman harasses them. Put our guy in here. We're all hedging our positions. International titles, WBA Continentals, moving up rankings, getting opportunity here. And they don't want to upset anyone. It's a very tough job for them.
Just speaking of Davis, Leonard Ellerby had a lot to say your way about what he said, throwing the name in the hat for making a Gervonta fight with Devin. What'd you think about Leonard's comments? And then, going about, he seems to have the perspective of build Devin into a star first, and then we have a fight.
Again, not hating on Gervonta Davis, right? But what's the bigger fight this weekend? I'm sorry, but everybody's talking about Haney Diaz. No one's talking about Gervonta against Isaac Cruz. And I'm not saying it's a bad fight or anything. I'm not hating on these guys. This is a much bigger fight than that fight, and it's a much better fight. So you can't keep ignoring people and just live in a bubble and say, yeah, when those guys do that, it's like Demetrius Andrade. Yeah, when that guy wins a world title, all right, wins a world title. Oh yeah, he don't sell any tickets, sells out Providence. He's not making any money, making a lot of money. Like they've already said they'll only fight guys in the PBC. So that tells you everything you need to know.
But just speaking, as we talk about in-house with Demetrius, what have you thought, Eddie, when people are saying, stop banging the drum for Andre Charlo and get him the fights that are maybe more realistic on his own with Munguia and with Golovkin?
But they're not in-house fights. They're in-network fights. I don't represent those fighters. And if I did, I would be telling them, you've got to fight Demetrius Andrade. Because I can't say to Golden Boy, look, you have to. And listen, Dazn would love to see Munguia against Andrade or Golovkin against Andrade, but Jaime Munguia, when he moved up to middleweight, was told by the WBO, you're mandatory to Demetrius Andrade. He said, no thank you, just leave me alone for a minute, right? I don't blame him. Let me have a couple of fights at 160. What's he had, 4 fights at 160?
Yeah.
Now they've gone back and said, you're mandatory, and he went, I'll fight an eliminator against Derevyanchenko. Why? When you can fight for the world title on our platform. Do you know what I mean? So it's incredibly frustrating. But when they say, don't worry about your other guys, look at your in-house guys. I don't have any in-house guys at 160 to fight Demetrius Andrade. Right? Why do we have to look in-house? Why doesn't Charlo say, I want to unify? He's a 32-0 brilliant American world champion against a 31-0 brilliant American world champion.
Both of them were champions at 154, now they're both champions at 160.
It's a mega fight.
Makes sense.
Right?
Yeah. And I mean, obviously there's a bit of animosity and a bit of, they've had their back and forth in the past, so I think that fight...
It's a big fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a pay-per-view fight. And Demetrius don't outprice himself. Listen, Charlo against Derevenchenko was on pay-per-view. Yeah?
Yeah,
so,
but it was with the brother.
No, but that was main event.
Yeah, I know, but they gave you both brothers on pay-per-view, something we've never got.
We'll do it again then. Do it again.
And remember, the first
but
Harrison was on number
4. Who cares? Charlo against Andrade is a massive fight compared to what they've put on there. And I bet the money's the same. Yeah? So you've put that on pay-per-view. Why not put this on pay-per-view?
Eddie, yesterday the WBO mandated that they ordered.
Oh no! How convenient.
Johnny Bekmamboli to fight Demetrius Andrade. Will that interfere with the Charlo situation?
Of course it will. And how convenient was that?
Yeah.
We write to the WBC, who have the ability, by the way, within their rules, as the only governing body that has that in their rules, to order their champion to fight another champion from another division, another governing body.
Yeah. No
One day later, we've got a mandatory from the WBO against some guy I've never even heard of. No
and the
disrespect to him.
president, though, he took a side. He said he wasn't going to mandate any champion anyway. Paco came out on his Twitter and said
Paco can't, because it's not in their rules. It's in the WBC rules. They can order a mandatory for their champion against another champion.
Now, how would the situation be different from Adonis Steven and Sergey Kovalev? That one was WBC, one was WBO, and then when Al won the purse bid, Kovalev, Kathy Duva stood on HBO. They didn't do the fight with Adonis.
I have absolutely no idea what relevance that has. But what I do know
it's
is
the same WBO and WBC.
But what I'm saying is what
and
we're doing.
The president's
but what we're doing is we're asking the WBC to order that fight. Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you. That's who ordered it. That's history.
Yeah, but Paco then has the right to say we approve that or we don't approve that. Okay. But we wrote to both governing bodies and said, Maurizio, please order Charlo to fight Andrade for the good of boxing. Paco, just to let you know, we've written to Maurizio Suleiman. If he orders that, please accept that as for the good of boxing. 48 hours later, we get another mandatory put on us. Right? For a guy, no disrespect to the guy, he's a good fighter. I know he is, I'm being facetious. But come on, who wants to see that? So now I'm in the situation where I've got to get creative. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Maybe Andrade moves up to 68 and becomes mandatory as the WBO world champion. But we've got to do something because we can't go and fight that fight again.
Lastly, is Canelo Makabu going to be on Dazn if that?
I'd certainly listen. I will be doing everything I can to get Canelo Alvarez back on Dazn, and not even just for Dazn, to Matchroom. I mean, it's a dream to work with a guy. Makabu, Gennady Golovkin, Dimitri Bivol, a fight in the UK. We will present 4 options to Canelo Alvarez. He'll get 10 options from other people as well. Hopefully he chooses us.
Does he make easy work of Makabu?
No, I think it's a tough fight. I spoke to Tony Bellew about that fight. Makabu punches very, very hard. Of course, there's a huge size difference in that fight, but Canelo Alvarez is a genius. He's a king, and I would make him a favourite in that fight.
Eddie, I gotta ask, it seems like Dazn may be doing some, how you guys call it, box office, pay-per-view type of events. Do you think that maybe that would help entice Canelo? Because obviously he just made major money fighting on pay-per-view, competing against UFC in one of the top cards and still get better numbers than the UFC that night. Do you think that maybe a Dazn pay-per-view would help entice to bring Canelo back for those?
I mean, look, he was making a lot of money off pay-per-view as well. I think the whole pay-per-view argument, I think pay-per-view is in a terrible, terrible place. I think pay-per-view will always exist for the right fights and the big stars. But there's too many fights on pay-per-view. You go back to Crawford Porter, what was that, 135,000 buys? Yeah. Catastrophic. And by the way, 2 great fighters, a brilliant fight. And this isn't me hating on fights, I'm just talking reality. Gervonta Davis against Isaac Cruz on Sunday. What does it do? 100,000? Less? I mean, no, and Cruz
doing 200 plus.
Yeah, but I mean, that last time out you talked about against Leo Santa Cruz. a household name.
Well,
You know,
Mario
Barrios was a world champion, but
regular title.
okay, well, you've gone back on your word, and then Isaac Cruz, who, listen, he's tough and game, but it's not that it's a bad fight. It's coming off the back of. This is the problem. You've got Crawford Porter comes 2 weeks after 700,000 buys or 6 or whatever it was, Canelo Alvarez, and then after the 130 pay-per-view, 2 weeks later, you've got Gervonta Davis against someone no one's ever heard of but he's a good fighter, Cruz. But let's be honest, no one's ever heard of him, right? And then next week you've got Jake Paul against Tommy Fury,
2 weeks
and
later,
then
yeah.
2 weeks after that, you've got Charles Martin against Luis Ortiz. What the fuck's going on? Do you know what I mean? So the problem is with pay-per-view is that it's not it's the successive. You guys, you're Americans, right?
Yeah.
How do you do it? What do? Do you all work on the fucking stock market?
We have
Fight
fight
fans?
parties.
Right, I
Everyone
know,
chip
you
in,
must.
everyone
I know.
chips in.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you must.
Debt.
Yeah, you must do. But
You
actually,
go in debt.
Or you
Listen.
start streaming, you go to those streaming sites.
listen, I'm not commenting on it, but listen, yeah. But what I'm saying is if I did that in England, we get killed, right? That's the problem. Consistently, listen. It's amazing for Dazn, because a Dazn customer is saying, well, actually, this is much better value than buying these individual pay-per-views. And in answer to your question about pay-per-view, I think the Dazn pay-per-view discussion is just potentially having functionality to do it for specific fights. Sometimes a fight will come along that maybe the model of subscription does not work, right? Could be AJ against Tyson Fury in the UK. You can't put that on DAZN UK. Has to sit as a pay-per-view. So having the functionality to do pay-per-view makes them very powerful.
Eddie, last
Thanks,
one for
Eddie.
me. I gotta ask. I heard Teofimo Lopez Sr. reached out to you.
Yeah, many times.
After the fight.
Many times.
Just your thoughts on that. Your thoughts on the comments of 10-2. Your thoughts on they should have stuck with Top Rank and not went to DAZN, even though
We saved them.
Even
We
though
saved them,
You,
yeah.
you paid the most money.
Yeah, I mean, look, we had a great relationship with them both. We treated them with nothing but respect. They were brilliant, by the way. The way they helped us with the promotion, they did everything that was asked. They told me before, thank you so much, you guys are the best. Oh, DAZN, Matchroom. They got beat and they should never have boxed on DAZN. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And he called me and he messaged me saying, I can't believe what you did. He's after the fight. And I just went back to him and I said, mate, we treated you with utmost respect, right? Watch the fight back. Look at people's comments who thought, you lost the fight, fair and square. Dust yourself down, come again. Teofimo is a warrior. He's a tremendous fighter. He's a good guy, and I like Teofimo's dad as well. But I don't hold it against him because it's emotions, it's family. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes you behave irrationally when the emotions go out of control. He'll be back. He's a great fighter.
But if you roll back and see the knockdown, you'll super slow-mo it, and you'll actually see Eddie Hearn jump in
I was
the
like,
ring.
wow. But it was,
maybe
but,
you were responsible, Eddie.
No, yeah. But I'll tell you what, because I couldn't believe. I was watching that first round going, it's over. He's going to stop him in the first
I was
round.
kidding about it. I was saying
Yeah,
you
no.
got in the ring.
No, but
So
what I
she
did
wants
do.
us to cut it, so
Yeah,
I got to cut you.
Yeah,
My last
okay.
question
Yeah.
is, how probable is it for Lou DiBella to leverage Kambosos for a network deal? I was speaking to him on my show yesterday, and that's all he's talking about. He's
Yeah.
like, why can't DAZN open the floodgates? I don't want to talk to Eddie. I want to talk straight to DAZN.
Yeah.
I want to talk straight to Showtime, straight to Fox. Is Kambosos valuable enough for any network to give him a few dates?
He's brilliant. But it's not about giving Lou DiBella dates. It's about getting, it's about the right options for George Kambosos. Now, unfortunately, people have network deals and therefore there's no additional dates available. So DAZN aren't looking to suddenly do 3 more shows a year. They've got to deal with Golden Boy and they've got to deal with Matchroom. Now, if you want to fight on DAZN, you have to go with one of those promoters. If you want to fight on Showtime or on Fox particularly, you'll have to go with PBC. If you want to go on ESPN, you have to go with Top Rank. So it's not that George Kambosos isn't worth a network deal. Of course he is. But certain promoters hold the dates. So no network at the moment, in my opinion, is going to come on and invest in 3 or 4 more dates for a fighter. Not just George, anyone. So, look, but Lou knows what he's doing. Lou's very good at what he does, and he's in a great position. He's going to make a huge amount of money, and he's got a great fighter. Hopefully, he decides Devin Haney is the right route for him, and It's going to come down to what George Kambosos wants.
He
That's the most.
specifically said his friends at PBC, and I said, friends?
Yeah,
Albo?
really? Yeah,
and
yeah.
we laughed.
Yeah.
So he said, yeah, communications are back open. Do you believe Tank and Mayweather team take a Kambosos fight?
Yeah, for sure.
Really?
But listen, the fighter's the boss, right? It's going to come down to what George Kambosos wants. He's earned the right to call the shots, and hopefully he chooses the undisputed fight with Devin Haney if he gets through on Saturday.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive from Border Wars, from title, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.